Fresh Russian attacks are being reported in Ukraine following massive gains by Kyiv in the east of the country. Russian missiles damaged a reservoir near President Zelensky's hometown, the central city of Kryvyi Rih, putting one of Ukraine's largest urban areas at risk of flooding. Attacks have also been reported in the east of the country, in the Kharkiv region, where Ukrainian forces have pushed back the Russian army. President Zelensky has visited one of the liberated towns in a show of defiance. But alongside the celebrations, evidence is emerging of alleged atrocities committed during the Russian occupation.
In the city of Izium, President Zelensky shakes the hand of a Ukrainian commander. Thanks to his troops' hard work, the city has now been liberated from Russian forces. But there's been so much fighting here that there's not much of it left.
There are no surprises. It's, that's not shock for me. The view is very shocking, but it's not shock for me because we began to see the same pictures from Bucha, from the first deoccupied territories. So the same, destroyed buildings, killed people, and so what can I say?
Ukraine's northeastern counteroffensive has seen the Ukrainian army take back a wide swathe of territory in the space of just a few days. But residents here are shell-shocked. What they endured during 6 months of Russian occupation is just starting to come to light. In the battle-scarred city of Balaklia, southeast of Kharkiv, reports of torture are emerging.
They made me hold 2 wires attached to an electric generator. The faster you spin, the higher the voltage. They kept spinning it and asking questions. They said I was lying, so they did it more. It happened to some prisoners every other day.
With the Ukrainian army back in control, residents here long to put the dark days of war behind them and see the Ukrainian flag rise over the country once again.
All right, let's join DW correspondent Emmanuel Shaz in Ukraine's second city, Kharkiv, in the east of the country, where Ukrainian forces are continuing to consolidate their control in parts of the region. Welcome, Emmanuel. Good to have you with us. Let's start with the overnight missile strikes in Kharkiv.
Yes, well, at around midnight here, Kharkiv time, we heard an explosion and a missile hit not far from here in the city center, a few kilometers away from where we are. It was probably launched not too far away from here because the air defense system, the air red alert, didn't start beforehand. We heard the sirens howling afterwards. Obviously, everybody who could took shelter for the next hour. This morning, Kharkiv authorities said that there was no casualty following this strike and also that there was no damage caused. But this is a daily occurrence here in northeastern Ukraine, day in, day out. The shelling continues. Here in Kharkiv, we are only 35 kilometers away from the Russian border.
And more accusations of Russian attacks on civilian infrastructure, with an attack on President Zelensky's hometown.
Exactly. Yesterday, the city of Kryvyi Rih, which is in central Ukraine, which used to be the biggest city in central Ukraine pre-war, there was 650,000 inhabitants there. It is President Zelensky's native city as well. It was hit as well by 8 missiles, so a strike on its water power plant infrastructure. A dam was damaged, a reservoir was damaged, incurring the water to rise to up to 2.5 meters. And this actually corroborates what the Ukrainian authorities have been accusing the Russian army of doing, of hitting civilian infrastructures. Here in the northeast, we also experience power blackouts quite regularly because power plants are being hit. So we do see a pattern there to cause maximal damage that will affect the population.
And what can you tell us about these reports of the president being involved in a car crash?
Yes, last night there were some reports emerging about a car crash which happened in Kiev. Apparently the incident is not too serious. You know, the Ukrainian president always travels with medics as well. He was immediately taken care of. He doesn't sustain serious injuries, and his driver was immediately brought to hospital for further attention, but apparently not a serious car crash accident.
OK, thank you for that, Emmanuel Shaz in Kharkiv.